Jakar is no longer an official representative of Narn and must be removed from this council.
We will wait until...
Now!
No dictator, no invader can hold an imprisoned population by force of arms forever. There is no greater power in the universe than the need for freedom. Against that power, governments and tyrants and armies cannot stand. The Centauri learned this lesson once. We will teach it to them again. Though it take 1,000 years, we will be free.
Hi, I'm Rachel.
And I'm Matt.
And this is
We Are All Kosh,
a Babylon 5 podcast. So before we get started, I'm going to tell an amusing anecdote, because once we hit go on this episode, I don't think that there's going to be a whole lot of amusing shit to talk about.
No.
And the world is hard right now. So in fact, I have two amusing anecdotes that I would like to convey before we get started. For literally no other reason than this is a palate cleanser for life, the universe, and everything before we get started. So everybody knows, should know, we live literally like in the subarctic, like rural far north, right? And I don't know if anybody's been paying attention to the weather, but it has been like real cold up here. In fact, I think last weekend, Ontario was one of the coldest places on earth. And I can see Ontario from the grocery store. So like, we're real close. Okay. So on Friday, when it was -10, feels like -40, and the kids' school had been canceled, I decided the best possible course of action was to still go to work. So I got all bundled up.
This was a mistake.
I got in the Prius and I was driving down the highway. We live on a highway. And the highway is also basically the only way into town, because we also live in a like 50,000 acre national forest. So there are like two roads. So I was taking the one road into town, and I did not realize that there was going to be gale force winds off of the completely frozen Great Lake that we live next to. And it was going to be whiteout conditions at 0:30 in the morning. Anyway, I ran into a snowdrift, which I ran into a snowdrift on the correct side of the road, which I feel better about, because the reason I ended up in the snowdrift is I thought I was following the rumble strip because I couldn't see shit.
But
and
it was your right wheel.
My right wheel was not on
the
rumble strip. We have rumble strips everywhere specifically for this reason. And I thought I was riding the one on the shoulder, and I was riding the one on the yellow line because I was in the left lane. And this highway was not closed, and it is a major thoroughfare for logging trucks. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to die. So I tried to get back as like gently as I could because I'm also leading a trail of people that are all relying on me to figure out where the fucking road is. Anyway, I ended up in the
Stuck
snowbank.
in the snowbank.
Yeah. And fortunately, Matthew.
Fortunately, I left a few minutes after you to go get some big propane tanks refilled. And so you called and said, don't leave yet because it's whiteout conditions. You won't be able to see anything. And I had already left.
You were like, I'm already on the way. And then you were right
And then
behind
5 minutes
me.
later, you said, I'm stuck. I said, I'm just a few minutes
And
away.
I really want to paint the picture here. I'm not just stuck. I am stuck in a probably 4-foot snowbank on the side of a highway that is me, snowbank, and frozen lake. And on the other side is drift, ditch, and 10,000 acres of national forest. I am in the middle of fucking nowhere on this highway. It is dark. It is whiteout conditions.
With like 2 feet of visibility.
It is probably 20 to 30 mile per hour wind blowing ice crystals at your face at negative 30 degrees. And it is dark.
And your car is slowly getting buried. Actually, not that slow.
No, and it is drifting up against the side of my car as quickly as it possibly can. Had I had no one to come get me, I don't know what I would have done. Luckily, Matt came, and we tried desperately to get the Prius out of the snowbank, and it was just not happening. So he had to use our very large truck to push me out, physically push the car out of the snowbank. And I managed to get back on the road, and he had to talk me through driving down the road because it's still whiteout conditions. And at that point, it was safer for me to continue because once I'm on that road, there's no place to turn around. So I had to finish. And I thought in my mind, I knew it was bad, but I thought I was being a wuss because this is our first season up here, our first winter season up here. And I was like, God, I couldn't even handle one whiteout. That's a reasonable thought, right? And then I talked to a friend of mine who's lived here her whole life, and she was like, oh, no, I was having a panic attack.
Oh, and she passed you while you were stuck.
Yeah, she goes, I was having a panic attack. That was the most terrifying thing I've ever seen that I've ever had to do in my life. And her son was apparently looking out the window, and he was like, my mama, Miss Rachel's almost buried in snow. And she was like, I can't think about that right now. She tried to keep driving. Anyway, I survived. Luckily, because honestly, that was a life-threatening situation, and I made it out. And this is the wonderful thing about the human psyche is when you're in it, you're like, okay, I'm just going to solve this problem. And then later you're like, I could have died. Oh my God. Anyway, I survived. Yeah. And then I got a safer ride back in to our house. And the highway is still closed. It closed like half an hour after I got of it. And then 3 days later, it is still closed because they're trying to clear the snow off of it. So anyway, I survived. My second anecdote is about a friend who apparently had an open bottle of Gatorade in their pocket on accident at their kids' hockey game. And they had to go in the bathroom and rinse the Gatorade out of their coat. And as they were wringing it, a Canadian parent, because they were having a game with a little Canadian team, was like, hey man, beer explode in your pocket? I've been there. So anyway, we live cold enough where it's reasonable to assume a can of beverage will explode in your pocket if you're not careful. That was it. Those are the two. That was a palate cleanser for everybody before we get started on this episode. If you want to know what it looked like driving down that highway, I posted a video on our Instagram. I tried adding the ice temple theme from The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, but I always forget to hit OK when I add music. All right, after all that, it's time to talk about Babylon 5, Season 2, Episode 20, The Long Twilight Struggle. Now the trumpet summons us again, not as a call to bear arms, though arms we need, not as a call to battle, though in battle we are, but as a call to bear the burdens of a long twilight struggle, year in and year out, rejoicing in hope, patient in tribulation, a struggle against the common enemies of man, tyranny, poverty, disease, and war itself. John Fitzgerald Kennedy. So that's where it comes from, is a quote, a Kennedy quote. I'm just going to sit with that for a minute because, oh my God, really? This is the episode right now?
In this economy?
In this economy? Oh my God. I'm gonna put that there. I'm gonna leave that on the table because if we're not careful, that's the conversation this entire
Let's
podcast
set
is
aside
gonna have.
the American dystopia so we can talk about the Narn dystopia.
That's what I'm saying. Is like if we're not careful, this is gonna become just one long treatise on the bullshit that is life at the moment. And so what I think we're going to do is I don't want to seem incredibly tone deaf and not address it at all, but I'm going to say that I'm putting it deliberately on the table. We all know what's happening. Hopefully you're keeping up with the news. And
But not too much.
I mean, enough.
Yeah.
But, oh my God. I feel like millennials are tired, right? And we're not just millennials, we're like elder millennials. So we went through an extra 10 years of bullshit. And I'm just so fucking tired. I'm tired. We graduated. Okay, so I was in high school in 2001.
Yep.
So I can both remember going to the airport and just walking to the gate and meeting people at the gate. And then I'm in high school when 2001 happens. And then we go through all that shit. And then we graduated college in 2008. When you couldn't get a job. You just couldn't get a job. Period. And gas was like $5 a gallon. It was awful. And we've gone through every subsequent major event. And I'm just really fucking tired. You know who else is tired? Jakar's tired. That's how I'm going to segue us back to this episode. Anyway, this originally aired the 18th of October, 1995. And at this point, there's actually a discrepancy between the two websites that I check about when things are airing. Because my usual website said it didn't air until November. But the Lurker's Guide said it aired in October. So I'm going to go with the Lurker's Guide because it's contemporary.
Okay.
Or it's at least a collection of contemporary data presented for posterity. So I'm going to go with them. It was written by JMS, obviously, and it has a P5 rating of 9.49.
So pretty high up there.
And honestly, this one is gut-wrenching. Of course it's gut-wrenching. And everyone's like, this is the best episode of Babylon 5, period. And it is a good episode. I think I felt more for the episode where the Emperor shows up and he's going to apologize and he doesn't get to. And then Jakar has that moment with Londo where he's like, maybe we actually can be friends. And then he finds out that they're at war. To me, that one is more of an emotional roller coaster because this just feels like...
It was more personal.
And this just feels like the final equation. Or the final...
From that, yeah.
From everything that's happened.
Yeah.
It was directed by Michael Vahar, who previously directed The Geometry of Shadows, They're All Honor Lies, and is about to direct one called Here Comes the Inquisitor or Comes the Inquisitor. And this is where I had to do a bit of a hang on, what's happening? Because the website that I normally check for when did it air said that Comes the Inquisitor had aired in August of 1995. Oh. And for those keeping track, that would put it 3 episodes back. But it's actually the second to last.
The last episode we watched aired not in the U.S. in July.
Yeah, it aired that's what I finally came to, is it had aired in the U.K. in August. But that doesn't explain why this one says it was aired in November when it was actually aired in October. So I looked up the viewing order because I was like, hold on, sanity check moment. What the fuck is happening? Because Comes the Inquisitor is it's the Jack the Ripper episode. So we go from this to the staple 90s Jack the Ripper episode, which
Jack
every
the Ripper
single
was
one
an
had
alien.
to have. Yeah, which every single TV show had to bring Jack the Ripper in. You had to have your Native American mysticism episode. You had to have your time travel cautionary tale episode. That's just your amnesia episode. They were like, check that box off, check it off. So this is our check off of the Jack the Ripper, but it comes after this, but before the final episode of the season, which is another banger. So I was like, did they seriously literally cut the middle of 2 great episodes with fucking Jack the Ripper? And yes, correct. They did. So by any viewing order, we're watching it in the correct order.
Okay.
I didn't get any information on why Tubi felt the need to scramble some of the episodes. Usually there's like okay, well, this one was actually aired here and it was supposed to, whatever. But nope, no news. It's just Tubi mixed him up, I guess. He has quite the storied IMDb page.
Michael Vahar.
Yeah, he directed an episode of The Incredible Hulk, The A-Team, the original Fantasy Island, and Sentinel.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. I mean, peak television. I mean, he did a lot. I would go look him up. He's got a lot of stuff. John Shook is a guy who plays Drawl this time, which Matt caught it. He was like, that's not the same guy. No, it's correct. It's not the same guy. Although I love that they got another guy who is acting for the people in the back.
Yes.
They were like, you may not look the
actor.
same, but you feel the same. And so you will work. You will work. And they were like, oh, yeah, it's because he got 30 years younger. And really, it's because the original guy was unavailable. I think he was sick at this point. He couldn't come back and reprise his role. This guy was in Gunsmoke, MASH, Bonanza, Roots, The Love Boat. It goes on. He's in so many things.
Oh, he's recognizable.
Yeah, he's in the 1990 Dick Tracy movie. Have you ever seen that
Like
one?
no, I have not.
Oh my God.
I was thinking the Narn General guy was also very distinctive.
Yeah. You recognized him? How
Yeah.
about this? Low, quick.
Oh, is that him?
muffled.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah. I mean, the voice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He was in the 1990s Dick Tracy. We need to watch the 1990 Dick Tracy because it is fucking wild. It's right in that like moment when we were doing a weird transition between the 80s and the 90s and we weren't sure. It was like the 80s, but
How
can we make it
gritty should it be?
dystopian? It was like
Yeah.
gritty, but also neon, but also gritty, but also kind of animated. It's really weird.
Yeah.
It would remind you of that one with Brad Pitt where he's acting with all the animated characters.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God, what is that one called? Cool something. I don't know. Anyway, you know where I'm getting with this.
Yeah. Cool Town or something.
He also played a voice in Wing Commander 3, Heart of the Tiger. Clearly, Wing Commander is close to our hearts as the greatest sci-fi movie ever made. William Morgan Shepard is the war leader Justan. He's the guy who's also played the Soul Hunter in Soul Hunter, which you caught with my very good thing I did there. He was also Captain Witwicky in Transformers, like the very first Transformers movie, when we learned about the Witwicky in the past who found the glasses. Mm-hmm. He's in all the flashbacks where he's like, my ancestor Witwicky. And yeah, that was him. He was in Max Headroom, which stylistically is similar to Dick Tracy. So like, I get it. He was a voice on the Gargoyles TV show. And he was also in Mighty Ducks, the animated series, which you want to talk about movies I totally forgot existed. It was like Mighty Ducks, the animated series. And I was like, oh my God, the Mighty Ducks. I totally forgot about the Mighty Ducks. And then I was like, I wonder if any of our friends up here have watched the Mighty Ducks because it's about hockey. They love hockey. He was also in the ill-fated Legend of the Seeker TV show, which I finally saw a creator hold up Wizard's First Rule. And they were like, I don't know, guys. I'm thinking about reading this one. Like, I've heard some stories about how it's trash, but like, I think I'm going to give it a shot. And I was like, oh my God, is he coming back? Is Terry Goodkind coming back? No. Okay. Riff Hutton is the guy who plays the ISN reporter. He was in Stand and Deliver. He was reporter number 2 in Nick Knight, which is our first and to date only connection to Forever Knight. And it's not even Forever Knight. It's Nick Knight, the Rick Springfield TV pilot that didn't actually take off. He was an officer in Alien Nation. He was in Century City, which is that season 1 about a lawyer in the future who...
Yeah, you've talked about it.
Yeah, he's got Johan Gruffeld in it. And he was in 32 episodes of General Hospital.
So like a week?
Yeah, 3 weeks. However many that is by 5. I think they only air during the week. So I think that's 6 weeks, in fact. Lord Rifa's curt dismissal of treaties forbidding the use of mass drivers as, quote, ink on a page has a historical parallel of when Germany invaded Belgium at the beginning of World War I. I would argue there are a lot of parallels here. if you really wanted to dig
Yeah.
deep into it. And I guess this aired almost 50 years to the day when we did some other major World War II thing happened. I think maybe the invasion, like Germany's original invasion, like, which was against the treaty, some treaty. And they were like, oh, you can't do that. And he was like, whatever, it's just paper. So the ink on a page is kind of a reference to that, which in the like discussion that they pulled from JMS, this one in particular, he was clearly referencing questions, but they weren't giving me the question. So a lot of times the answer, I wasn't sure what he was answering. But he referenced a couple of times, yes, there are some parallels with World War II. It's kind of just incidental in that war tends to fit a pattern and not necessarily that I was trying to bring in World War II. And he likened Drawl to Tom Bombadil. And he was like, I really hate to do this because then people are like, oh, yeah, I knew that. I could see you were doing that all along. But like, I'm not. It just happens to be like Tom Bombadil. I was like, okay. Thou dost protest too much, methinks. When Germany invaded Belgium at the beginning of World War I in 1914 in direct violation of the Treaty of London. When the ambassador of Britain warned German Chancellor Theobald von Böhmen-Hollweg that Britain would go to war in response, the Chancellor dismissed the treaty as, quote, scrap of paper. Lord Rifa says to Londo that the Centauri will be using mass drivers to attack Narn. This is from the IMDb trivia. And this is a long and very involved discussion of how railguns work. And I read it wondering at what point we were going to come back to the point of the fact that they were using mass drivers. And really, it's just a description of how railguns work. And then it's like, here's the scenes where you can see the railgun on the Centauri ships. And 14 people found that helpful.
So they may use a railgun to launch it, but as a mass driver, it means you just have a big piece of mass that you're dropping straight along the planet's gravity. And then the planet's gravity accelerating that gives it all the damage enhancement.
Yeah. And then this is another moment where he was clearly answering a question, but there was context in the question that isn't given in the answer. So I'm not specifically sure what he's referring to.
Yeah.
But he said that mass drivers, especially Centauri mass drivers, use free floating asteroids.
Right.
So they like grab asteroids and chuck them at the planet. And so that's what he's talking about that they're doing. But he's not specifically stating that that's what they're doing to Narn. He was like, that's how they work.
Right. Yeah,
and
that
you're
was
left to
explained in
infer
the
the
previous
rest.
episode too.
Was it?
Yeah, there was an explanation of, I think it might have been Sinclair was explaining what a mass driver was, and he used the example of just grabbing an asteroid and then accelerating it toward the planet.
I have no memory of that. Did you have a dream or something?
I don't know.
The IMDb trivia also said that in the first Londo Rifa scene, just before Rifa sits, there's what looks like a wooden duck with its wings outstretched on the shelf behind him.
Yes.
And we actually looked for that, and there is, and it's very obviously like a swan statue or a duck statue.
Yeah, it's up over the shoulder of the throne.
And this is alluded to as possibly a continuation of the joke, what is that earth animal? I'm being nibbled to death by cats, except they have ducks or something similar. Yeah. Or is this an earth artifact? Hard to say. Candles apparently represent hope and have represented hope in this series. So like in the episode where everybody dies, the Markabs, remember he blows out the candles at the beginning. And so at the beginning of Jakar's prayer
Abandon
scene,
hope, all ye who enter.
Well, at the beginning of Jakar's prayer scene, the shelf behind him is filled with burning candles, but by the end, as his people's last hope is destroyed by the shadows, they've all gone out. He blows out that last candle, and when it pans back, all the candles are out.
And you had lit a candle in our recording room, and it went out.
Well, that was probably Ted.
Yeah.
Ted was probably mad I left a candle burning. Ted being the probably definitely ghost that lives in this house. We live in
of the previous owner.
Yeah, it was built in 1912 farmhouse, but one of those houses that like the people who built it are very much a part of the house, and I do not think Ted left. So Ted gets up to shenanigans. Anyway, likewise, when Londo and Rifa are talking, they're both cloaked in shadow until Londo expresses misgivings about his associates, and then he actually steps into the light, which is supposed to be significant. Oh, and then this was one that I copied because I really left out a lot of what was discussed, because it's funny, because if you had this on a forum now, I don't know what you would bring up, but not what they were clearly stuck on. And what it feels like they were stuck on was the particulars about the battle scenes. The Narn ships look different. Why do the Narn ships look different? How come the shadows can stick together like that? Was that actually 4 shadow ships, or was that 2 shadow ships? Because it's the first time we've seen the shadows from the side.
Yeah.
And we didn't know yet that they're kind of like squished. They're like shadow sandwiches.
Yeah.
And they have 2 parts. And so when you put them together, they look like 4, but it's really just 2 ships. It's just that each ship has like 2 parts.
Yeah.
Anyway, this was discussed at length. And honestly, it was the least interesting part of the episode. And I was so uninterested in any of the particulars. How come they didn't shoot at them? And I'm like, well, it's like a 5-minute scene. I wasn't like, how come there are 7 fighters and I only see 6 fighters and only 5 of the fighters were actually firing their weapons? That's what it felt like. And I was like, I think this is the area of least concern.
Right.
And so I just didn't care. But the one thing that he did that I did copy and put in here, because I don't know what he's referring to. He just says, your note about 500 Narns for every 1 Centauri. Whatever that note was is lost to time.
Mm-hmm.
He says, you may want to check your own history. During the occupation of some parts of Europe during World War II, similar tactics were used. In some cases, the threat rose as high as 100 to 200 Jews or Russians executed for every Nazi killed. Much the same has been done in earlier history. 500 to 1 is a figure relatively consistent with what humans have done from time to time when we wish to instill terror. So I find this a curious quibble. No news on what the quibble was, right? But presented without comment, one of ours, all of yours.
Yes, on an official podium.
Yes.
Anyway,
I'm saying it's not that crazy. A lot of times his numbers definitely feel exaggerated for emphasis, but this one in particular felt like, yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, especially considering they're not even the same species, so you don't have to not dehumanize, decenturize.
Yeah, centaurize. No, you already have a ready-made, they're not really people.
Mm-hmm.
They're not like us. They're different than us. They're less than us. So it's fine. 500 is almost as if we at one point in our history had said that certain people were worth 3/5 of a whole person.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like that. So when the episode begins, we're on Centauri Prime. And this is a big Londo moment. It doesn't feel like a big Londo moment in that he doesn't get to make a ton of, he does get to make a huge decision, right? Because he could have just said, no, I'm not calling my associates. I'm not helping you.
Yeah.
But this is definitely a moment where we see that Londo has come far farther than he ever anticipated coming.
Yeah.
And that this has turned out to be something that he didn't expect. And that now he is so deep into it, he doesn't know how to get out of it.
Right. Yeah.
Because
Londo doesn't have any agency here. He's stuck riding the rails.
He has a choice. But as we famously have said several times, you always have a choice.
Yeah.
But his choice would be his own destruction or continuing down the path. So at this point, choosing anything but continuing to support Rifa's agenda would lead to the end of his career, which is effectively death for the Centauri.
Right.
So he could choose to tie, but he does not choose that because this is one of the episodes where you don't like Londo. Most of the time you're like, oh, come on, Londo, baby, don't be like that. I know that's not you. Until an episode like this where you're like, God damn, fuck Londo. Jesus Christ. What is wrong with him? That's this episode.
Oh, yeah, especially at the end.
But think about what Peter Jurasik has to do between the lines in this episode. There's
his
that moment.
face acting is so good.
There's that moment where he's looking out the window at them bombarding the Narn homeworld, and he doesn't get a moment of dialogue there. He has to just, and he's not even looking at anything, right? He's in a green screen. He's sitting somewhere looking at a green screen or whatever, or he's surrounded by a green screen looking off into the distance. And in his mind, he's having to envision what it would look like to see an entire planet being bombarded. And he has to express without words how horrifying that would be. And he really kills it. He really does. And there's that moment at the end where he's watching the news and they're like, yeah, the Centauri are so happy. Oh, and they've already gone ahead and like started taking over other planets. And he's like, oh no. He goes from looking mildly amused, like, yeah, we did it, to, oh shit, it's
horrified.
not over. It's not over. What have I done? There'll never be enough. There's no upper limit to the kind of greed that he allowed to flourish.
Yeah.
And he's realizing that in this moment. And anyway,
I think it's a really poignant demonstration of how you can get caught up in your patriotism, supporting the people in charge, and the glory of your nation, and it has to get really bad before you realize, oh shit, I've gone way too far. Am I the baddie now?
Am I the bad guy?
And
yes,
and you're too proud to admit, I made a mistake. I need to do what I can to slow down or dismantle what I've done. And I bet there's a lot of people that feel that way.
Okay. So I'm going to get on my soapbox for a minute about public education. Stay with me here. Okay. In public education, you are rewarded only for being correct.
Only for obedience.
Only for obedience and compliance and correctness.
And getting it correct on the first try.
On the first try. You are punished for not only being wrong, but admitting fault.
Yeah.
And so you are trained from a very young age.
Punished by being shamed.
Yes.
Yeah.
That failure and not being right is shameful.
Sinful.
Sinful, even. And that you will be punished. And that it doesn't matter if these rewards and punishments are ephemeral. Like, what is a grade? It's nothing. It's not money. It's not food on the table. It's literally nothing. Like, my kids bring home their midterms and they want to talk to me about their grades. And I'm like, that's really great. But did you have a good time? Are you learning stuff? I don't really give a shit about what's on that paper.
Yeah.
Because that's not who you are. It doesn't mean anything. And we are taught to fight so hard for a meaningless rubric. Utterly, the game's made up and the points don't matter. Okay? And so you have trained from childhood a population of people who cannot admit they are wrong because that is shameful. And so we are all stuck in this sunk cost fallacy, just like Londo is, where you are so deep in it, to turn around now, you would have to dig yourself so far out of where you have put yourself. You would have to say so many I'm sorries. You would have to confront so many of your own actions and realize that you've been acting as the bad guy. And for a lot of people, that's simply not doable.
Yep.
They don't have the grit to look back along their path and go, oh shit, I fucked up. And I need to go back and I need to start at the beginning and I need to figure out how to do it better this time. And that is not easy to do. I get that. But also, Londo needs to look back and go, oh shit, I fucked up. He literally at this point is guilty of genocide. Or very nearly genocide. Because he started, first, here's a hint. If to kick off your grand plan, your nationalistic plan, you have to murder 250,000 people. is probably not the correct course of action. Just like it's a pretty good benchmark, I think, that if murder is your kickoff point, you're probably the bad guy.
Yeah.
So he had to start all this by destroying that huge colony. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And now he's very shortly, within less than a year, he finds himself on a ship watching the homeworld of the Narn be destroyed.
Yep.
After we know they've spent the last 10 years rebuilding everything, and now it's all gone. And that's the moment where it's on him to go, you know what? I fucked up. I can't be complicit in this anymore. But he's not only beholden to the Centauri government. He doesn't really know what the shadows want from him.
Right.
And if he went to
And
them...
they have not asked for all of their favors yet.
No. He is in debt in ways he doesn't even know what they are yet. And so he risks... Any turn from the path, he risks destruction. So it would take actual grit to be able to turn himself around, and he doesn't have it.
Right. He's committed to, oh, well, if I just do one more thing for them.
Yeah.
Then
sunk cost fallacy.
If I just go along with this one more thing, they will stay, the people I'm supporting will stay in power, and I don't face the consequences for the horrible things I've done. As soon as the people that I'm collaborating with go down, I'm going to go down with them.
Mm-hmm.
And so you just think, if I just do this one more thing, I will stay safe as long as they stay in power.
Right.
And that's more comfortable than resisting.
Yes, because to maintain safety, you have to maintain compliance.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, fuck Rifa. Rifa's like looking at the throne, and then he sits in the throne, and he's like, exciting times, Malari. They fire the blood and the mind. And then Londo's like, yeah, okay, so where's the emperor? And he's like, oh, out among his people, basking in their almost sincere adulation. We haven't met the emperor yet. He's going to be a treat. No, we haven't met the new one.
We didn't even meet him before he was emperor?
Nope. He got made emperor off page.
I think we saw a picture of him.
And every time somebody goes to the homeworld, he's gone.
Yeah.
He's out doing something.
Golfing.
Yeah. He has left things here in the hands of his court. Presented without comment, which can function just as well without him. Sometimes better, is what he says, and then sits in his chair. And that's a point that's not been lost on him, I'm sure, said Londo. He's like, oh no, he appreciates his position and ours and yours. This was a code for everybody knows where they stand here. Yeah. Cartaja. His name is Cartaja. I could not think of his name. I know every time I think of maps, but I couldn't remember why I thought of maps. Cartaja. He goes, I know this has been a hard time for you. You know, our work here. It's very important. And Londo's like, okay, hang on. This has cost the life of one of my friends already. And I was like, who? I couldn't remember. I literally wrote my notes, who? And then the next
one he had to stab?
Like later, I was like, oh, right. The guy he had to stab because he was going to be disgraced.
Mm-hmm.
How many more do you have lined up? And he's like, oh, yeah. Well, anyway, that was kind of unfortunate, huh? Oh, anyway, so Rifa's basically just like, hey, I've got great news. You know how we started the war 6 months ago? Well, we're about to end it. And Londo's like, what? And they're like, it's great, Londo. You should be really excited because you're going to be the architect of our victory.
Oh, no.
And Londo's oh shit face.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Not now. And then we go back to Delenn because in the meantime, we have a very oddly inserted subplot into this episode. Like, I think this would have fit. I don't know where else it would have fit. But it's basically just to reestablish contact with the planet.
Yeah. Reintroduce Drawl.
Reintroduce Drawl. Reintroduce the Great Machine. Everything's the Great War, the Great Machine. Reintroduce the big planet-sized machine that's down below them to a new generation of viewer and to Sheridan, who hasn't been there before. Because we start with Delenn meditating, and then we see a light, And she's like, hey, buddy. And then we get Lieutenant Commander Corwin, I think. He's the one who he used to be tech number 1.
Yeah,
and
but
now
now
he's
he
got a name.
Now
Yeah.
he has a name and a rank.
And a rank. And he's like, oh my God, there's an energy surge from the planet below. And the other tech has to show up and go, are you sure? And he's like, yeah. Points at the giant thing that says energy surge
Bleep,
from planet
bleep.
below. Beep, beep, boop, boop. And she goes, oh, I lost the plot there for a minute. He's like, the commander feared something like this might happen. And she's like what? And then he calls Commander Ivanova. And then we go to
Sheridan in the shower.
why do we show him in the shower? We could have just heard the water noise and then had him walk out in his bathrobe. But they're like,
Right?
you know what
Right, because we
sells?
slowly panned through his quarters and we get to the bathroom door and we see the steam
Yeah.
and hear the water. But then we cut to
Him,
looking through the shower
Him?
door glass.
maybe they had a really good, like a lot of feedback over the like sexual overtones in the previous episode. And the takeaway was sex sells. And so they were like, what if we show
More skin.
What if we show Bruce Boxleitner's naked shoulders? They were like, oh my God, yes, that's definitely going to get us what we need.
That's why it has a P5 rating so high.
All while upbeat, like the upbeat world map music from a PlayStation 2 game plays. It's like boop, 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 like playing over this whole. It's so weird. What was this? I want to know all of the thought processes that led to this moment in this episode, because this is it. And then from here on out, it's genocide. Okay.
Yeah.
It's Bruce Boxleitner's naked shoulders and genocide. And that's what this episode is. And so I want to know who was like, you know, it's the same reason I told a story at the beginning of this episode. It's a palate cleanser.
Yeah.
So we had something to just hold us up through the rest of this, because he comes out in his robe and he answers the television, and it's the phone,
Ivanova.
but it's the television, and it's Ivanova, and she's like, hey, we're picking up unusual signals, and then it just goes away. And he's like, Ivanova? And then we hear, hello, Captain.
Why is there static? This is on a hard line. I'm plugged into Ethernet. I shouldn't be getting static.
This is crazy. And it's Drawl behind him. It's Drawl. He's like, I do hope I'm not inconveniencing you, but I think we should talk. He's got the most. He's acting for the people in the back.
Stage orator.
Oh my God, it's hysterical. And then we go to the introduction and we come back and he's like, I've been watching you, which is really weird to say to a guy that just got out of the shower. He's like, so I've been seeing you naked for a while. And I kind of thought maybe it was finally time for me to like say hi. Poor Sheridan has to do all this in a bathrobe. He's like, hi. He's like, yeah, my name is Drawl.
I've seen your very impressive decisions that you've been making as the head of Captain of Babylon.
You have
5.
a very large authority. And I just said, he's a lot more solid now. Last time he was like hologrammy. And this time they're just like, can we just put the actor in the room? And they were like, yeah, that's fine.
Because the hologram projection is better now.
Yeah, because he's better.
Yep.
Yeah, and he's like, how do you do? And he goes, oh, I'm fine. Good. And he goes, you don't have any idea who I am, do you? That's how he introduces himself to Delenn, because she goes, hello, old friend. And he goes, ha! You're left to interpret, like, who the fuck is that? Oh, it's Drawl. It's definitely Drawl. It's just a very, like, you can see why he compared him to Tom Bombadil, because it's a very, like, I am the Lord and Master of time and space, and all I'm going to do is provide you with information. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
Can he move the planet?
Epsilon 3?
Yeah. Is the planet movable, or is the planet just, like, machine?
It's probably a little bit movable.
I'm just wondering, like, could he just turn and fire his weapons in one direction? I mean, we don't know. Is this planet orbiting a light source? I don't think we ever discussed that.
I think it's orbiting the same star that Babylon 5 is.
Well, I think Babylon 5 is tethered to the planet. I think it's
It's in
like
an
a
orbit around the
geosynchronous
planet.
orbit. Yeah, and I think the planet is orbiting some sort of light source. I don't know, because that would mean Babylon 5 moved. And Babylon 5 can't move because the jump point is fixed.
Well, unless they're all moving together. as part of the same orbit.
Yeah, but then Babylon 5 could be... its location could change significantly depending on the size of the orbit around the star. Okay, it's fine. We're not solving this problem right now. So we're just going to move on. He's like, oh, yeah, no, I know about you. You're the one who took custody of the planet we orbit. So they must orbit it. He's like, Captain, you do not take custody of a planet. The planet takes custody of you. It chose me when the one who lived in the heart of the machine lay dying. Like, that's literally how he talks.
Yeah.
We only see him one more time, and honestly, it's a loss. It's a loss because I loves me a good Shakespearean actor or a good... I come from the 1960s when you had to shout at the camera. So I'm always acting like I did in Gunsmoke.
Yeah.
He goes, I am but a steward. Oh, this is when he's like, it gave me back my youth and my appearance of 30 years ago. When I looked like a man who was definitely not 30 years younger than the other guy. But it's fine. Like, why wouldn't you then get a very young person to play him?
It was probably based on the performance.
Yeah. Can you definitely enunciate words that have no business being enunciated? And he was like, absolutely. And they were like, you got it. It's yours.
They could have gotten Michael Sheen.
Mm.
He would have.
Mm.
I think he would have
been very young.
He would have been very young. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, I am but a steward, a guardian here for a short while, and then gone. I'm not going to keep going. It's going to be too much. And then he stops and he's like, do you want to get dressed? And he's like, oh, no, it's fine. He goes, I don't wish to be an inconvenience.
I know, he's in the middle of this like really dramatic monologue. And then he's like, oh, I just realized you are not fully clothed.
JMS said this is intended to be a joke. I love a joke that you have to tell people is a joke.
Oh, I thought it was hilarious. Then he stops. Do you want to finish getting dressed? And Sheridan's like, no, I'm fine. So he just boop right back
He's like,
into the monologue.
A humble guardian of great and terrible. So, you know why? Because that's how you talk. I'm in the middle of like, I'm head down in a cabinet trying to find something at the back, and you're telling me a long and involved story, and you're like, are you okay? Can you find what you're looking for? And I'm like, yeah. And you're like, okay. And then you just continue on your statement. That's why you thought it was funny. But he's like, this thing has been entrusted to my care. You were saying? He stops because he's like, okay, I wrapped up. Were you trying to talk to me? And he's like, yeah, I was wondering if you'd ever make contact because I read the reports about what happened, and honestly, I was starting to wonder if you were real or not. And he's like, quite real, Captain. Oh yeah, and can you come down? This meeting could have been an email. This meeting could have been an email.
Can you come visit me in my in my apartment?
He can appear fully bodied. He could have just appeared to both. He could have been like, hey, can we go visit Delenn? I'll be there. And then
unless he needs Sheridan and Delenn down there for some other reason, maybe to scan them thoroughly. I think it's just to make sure nobody can hear what he says because he's pledging his assistance to Sheridan specifically, not to Earth, not to anyone else, but to Sheridan, which is the beginning, the very baby beginning of everyone mustering their forces under Sheridan's umbrella. Yeah. So this is the episode where he takes equal charge of the Rangers. This is the episode where he gets Epsilon 3 on his side. And he's like, can you come down here and visit me whenever is most convenient for you? And actually, whatever's most convenient for you needs to be as soon as possible. So can you do that? Why didn't you just say as soon as possible? And he's like, wait, what about your planet's defenses? Like, how do I contact you? And he's like, details. Because he goes to disappear and he's like, wait. And he reappears and comes back. He's like, oh, and you can bring one other. You'll know who. And then he just disappears. Yeah. And then after that moment, whatever that moment was, we go to Jakar and he's having a meeting with war leader Jashan. I was just calling him General. General. And then the Narn fleet was Jafleet.
Well, it's because, I don't know why they're J's. It's fine. It's because that made sense to JMS. Maybe it sounds better in Narnish. Narnian? But he's basically like, yeah, so our shit's not great. It's not great. Our outposts and colonies at Shi, Dross, and Zok have all been conquered in the last 7 days. And we've actually just lost contact with them altogether. So we have to assume that they've fallen. And Jakar's like, shit. He says Jaquan, but he's like, God damn it, is basically what that means. And he said they've pushed us back 30 years. They're closing in every direction. And our literal only hope is to attack this one point in their supply lines with everything we have. And he's like, okay, well, I've heard none of this during my weekly briefings. And he goes, the Kari is trying to perpetuate the belief that we are holding our own, which is the last message that the Edmund Fitzgerald sent before it sank.
Oh, no.
Because there was a ship following it, and they were like, hey, UK? And they messaged back and said, we're okay. We're holding our own.
Hmm.
And I wonder, is that a reference?
To the Edmund Fitzgerald?
I mean, why not? It hadn't been that long. It was like 20 years. This would have been close to the 20-year anniversary because I think it sank in 1975.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just putting that out there. He's like, okay, so they're saying we're holding our own, but like we totally are not. We are not. Like not even a little bit. Nope. We're not okay. There is no hope is what Jakar says. And he's like, there's always hope. And we're going to get, oh my God, I can't wait till we get the greater than the death of anything is the death of hope. Speech from Jakar. We're not there yet. We're going to get it. He's like, at least that's what I tell myself when I wake up in the middle of the night and the only sound I can hear is the beating of my own desperate heart. And I just wrote, low. Muffled. Oh, God. This is so, there's always hope. At least that's what I tell myself when I wake up in the middle of the night and the only sound I can hear is the beating of my own desperate heart. He goes, we have one chance. And this is when he's talking about Garrosh 7. And Jakar very rightly is like, okay, sounds great, but like, will we not be leaving the homeworld totally undefended? And he's like, yeah, but like just for a little while. It's totally fine. And this is one of the things that got criticized a lot in the forums was this strategic decision. And JMS was basically like, will you guys fucking shut up? Paraphrased, obviously, but it was like, they did it. They did it. Like they were desperate. They made one desperate gambit. If it had paid off, it would have paid off great. Even Londo was like, God, they'll cut off our supply lines if they do that.
Yeah.
So if they...
Londo's reaction only validates the strategic value of the Narn's like Hail Mary.
Yeah. Right.
It's like, oh yeah, that would actually be detrimental to our war effort.
And they're not banking on an entirely separate war force made up of impossibly ancient, impossibly technologically advanced aliens showing up and decimating them. Like, they're not banking on the shadows. They're thinking they're only fighting the Centauri. Right. And so if you're thinking you're only fighting the Centauri, this is a perfectly legitimate strategy. Yep. And he's like, we will make them pay for every inch of space. We'll wear them down beyond their capacity to fight it. Because they know from the last time, they won through attrition. They won by just continuously starving out the Centauri until they left. And so they're banking on that strategy working again. Like, if we can keep the Centauri going long enough, they don't have stick-to-itiveness. They don't have true grit. They can't fight. They can't keep fighting for as long as we can keep fighting because we're fighting for our lives.
Right.
They're not. So we don't have a choice. We have to keep fighting indefinitely, but they do not. And eventually they'll lose the will.
Yeah.
He's like, they want a quick victory. They don't have the stomach for prolonged war. And Jakar's like, okay, but drawing off our forces will leave homeworld with a skeleton defense. And that's when he's like, yeah, but like only for a little bit. And this episode in particular is where we really see that Jakar is intended to be like Cassandra.
Yeah.
Someone who knows.
The curse of knowing.
Yeah, the curse of knowing, but not being believed. Because he's immediately like, they're gonna exploit that as a weakness. And he's like, no, they're not. They can't. They're gonna have to defend their supply lines. He goes, the window of vulnerability is very small. We'll only be gone for a while. And Jakar realizes this is it. He's not getting any more of a say in this. And he just says, I pray you're right, Justen. I wish I were going with you. And this was when he's like, you need to be here because you need to like muster our allies, get us support as even sympathy.
Mm-hmm.
Like we need a face.
Yeah.
We need a face that keeps this real for everybody. And you're it. And he goes, how could I go off without saying goodbye to my favorite nephew? Which means Jakar doesn't just lose his planet. He doesn't just lose the war.
Right.
He
He's
loses
losing like a mentor,
a family member.
literally a family mentor.
Yeah, his
and
uncle.
Yeah.
He's like, be well. And then they hug. And then my favorite part about Andreas's portrayal of Jakar is that he does not portray him as emotionless.
Right.
He's about to cry when Justin leaves. And often when strong male characters are portrayed in television, they are shown as like stoic
Right.
and emotionless, and that is strength. But honestly, this makes him seem so much stronger because you get that, you know how much he cares about everything that's happening
Yeah.
and how much it hurts him. And then we go back to our like quirky little side story of Delenn and Sheridan.
And Drawl.
And Drawl, because Sheridan's hurrying off to go figure out what to do next because he's just been summoned to the planet. And Delenn shows up and she's like, sup? And he goes, it's not a good time. I'm busy, which is what he said to her last time too. And she goes, I know. He appeared to me as well. And he's like, oh, you're the other one. Oh my God, I got it. Oh, Jesus. Oh, like he couldn't have guessed that it was going
Right?
to be Delenn.
And why did Drawl not tell Sheridan
You know
that it was
what?
Delenn?
Maybe he's a fan of drama. Just drama for the
Yeah.
sake of it, yeah. And then we go to Rifa and Londo. And they're having a strategy meeting? A strategy meeting. Oh, and it's because they have intercepted information.
About the Narn attacking Goresh 7.
Yes. Do the Narn know that their code is broken?
I don't know.
Okay. This feels like a moment where they needed like the Navajo code talkers. Like they needed a extra level of this is a major offensive. They needed to make sure it stayed secret, and they transmitted it over a channel where it could be intercepted. And I know this is for the expediency of the storytelling.
Right.
But it feels like they should know that every time they give out information, the Centauri just immediately get it.
Right.
Anyway.
Maybe they captured someone and got some type of like decryption key.
Like an Enigma machine or the, what's the typewriter thing that they got? I think it's an Enigma. The Enigma machine.
Enigma was the machine that the Germans used
Yeah.
for their encoded transmissions. But then I forget what the one that Turing worked on to break the code. I forget what his machine was called.
I don't know if he had a special name for his, but they broke the code. And then we just referenced it a couple episodes ago because they broke the code, but they couldn't immediately respond to the information they were decoding because they couldn't let the Germans know they'd broken their code. And it may be something like that, where they've not been acting like the code's broken, so the Narn don't have any reason to believe it's broken. Because he says we've intercepted a coded transmission from the Narn Strategic Command that they intend to strike at Goresh 7.
It was called the bomb.
Oh, okay. The bomb.
It was the bomb.
Aw, Alan. But Londo's like, are we sure they're not like misleading us, in an attempt to draw off our main force while they strike elsewhere? And he's like, no, we know it's fine. It's true. It just has the right ring of desperation to be true.
Yeah.
He goes, I managed to convince some of our generals that the message is genuine. I mean, enough for what's necessary. And Londo's like, cool, so we're going to be waiting for them at Goresh 7? He's like, no. He's like, what?
Now, they hoped to draw our forces away from the main assault, but their forces are drawn away.
Yeah.
So we're going to take advantage of that. And we're going to take the L on Goresh 7.
No, he goes,
so
no.
we can take the W.
We don't
at
need the
main.
L because you're going to call your guys and they're going to
That's
come
right,
and
yeah.
they're going to defend Goresh 7 for us. And Londo's like, wait a minute, my forces? He literally says your forces. Now, as a viewer at the time, we don't know, and because I don't remember, anything more about Lord Rifa. I don't know if he knows who Lando's forces are.
Right.
But once again, everyone is super fucking casual about the fact that Lando has a direct line to people who are capable of crazy technological feats.
In my head, the shadows are also working with Rifa directly.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason that they keep Lando like complicit in the loop is to just keep him in line.
Yeah.
To make him continuously complicit, like actively complicit in the whole thing, just to keep him under their foot.
That is the headcanon that makes it make sense, because otherwise, literally, you have a rogue agent in the government who has access to a
world-ending
military force that you don't know who it is. You don't know who they're actually working for. You know nothing about, and you're real fucking blasé about whether or not this guy is on your side.
Yeah.
It may feel like Lando's in so deep they know his ambition will keep him going, which ultimately it does. But also, he could turn on them. They don't know what he is doing to get these people to do what he's asking them to do. They don't know what lengths they will go to please Lando.
Mm-hmm.
And so when he's like, oh, you're going to call your forces and they're going to do it. And Lando's like, my forces? And he's like, yeah, your forces, you know. He's like, okay, but like, where will everybody else be? And they're like, oh, they're going to be launching a full assault on the Narn homeworld. And Lando just goes, what? He goes, great maker. Like, are you fucking serious? You can't be serious. And he's like, of course I'm serious. He's like, Rifa, any attempt to invade Narn, I mean, that's crazy town. Like, you're going to be up to your neck in blood, your own blood. And he's like, oh, no, we're not invading Narn. No, we're going to bombard it from space. We're going to be the brave heroes who bombard it from afar. That's what we're going to do. And he's like, what? What? He goes, yeah, we're going to be using mass drivers. And this is when Lando's like, aren't those like illegal? He's like, yeah, whatever. It's just, he goes, we have treaties, ink on a page.
Yep.
Yeah. He goes, they've been outlawed by every civilized planet. Oh, you know what they get? You know what they get for doing it?
A strongly worded
letter. Yeah. I don't know. It doesn't feel familiar at all. This one move will end the war in days instead of months and can save thousands of Centauri lives by destroying like
maybe you can just ask the government, the council to provide body cams for all the Centauri that are committing war crimes.
I'm just gonna leave that right there. I'm just not gonna talk about it. He goes, we will only require your assistance and that of your allies. And this is when Lando has a moment to go like, hey, so my allies are a little bit like, I don't know.
They're the bad guys.
They're scary as shit, actually. Like, I'm a little bit terrified. Reports I've received, I mean, their sheer strength. And he's like, yes, yeah, they're very powerful. You're really great. Big dick. Love you. That's why we need you, actually. I don't understand your reluctance, Lando. And he's like, oh, no, I'm not reluctant. I just don't want to.
I'm just hesitant.
I'm just hesitant. I know. I'm just taking a moment and being a little bit maybe like thoughtful. I'm feeling thoughtful. I'm feeling introspective. He goes, I feel that things are moving too quickly. They threaten to spin out of control. And Rifa's like, nah, we got this. It's fine. We know exactly what we're doing. And now is not the time for doubts. We are here because of you. It's a little late to back out now.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, Lando, everything depends on your cooperation. At this very moment, a dozen of our largest battle cruisers are standing by in hyperspace, waiting for your decision. If you wish to serve our people, how better to do so than to end this war? And so, in my mind, Lando sees this as a way to prevent further casualties, not realizing how long it was going to take for the Narn to surrender.
Yeah.
I mean, he should have known. He should have known. But Rifa is selling this to him as a way to reduce casualties, to get what he wants without the loss of life that a prolonged war would lead to.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think he does it because he knows that it will cost fewer Centauri lives. And I think because he's thinking it will be so big and so dramatic that the Narn will have no choice but to surrender. And instead they hold out for far longer than anyone was expecting. And they are literally a day away from total collapse.
Yeah.
Because he's like, this will end it quickly, gloriously, and with a minimum amount of Centauri blood. And he's like, all right, fucking fine. Like, I'll bring my associates into this, but like, this is the last time. This is the last time I'm letting you watch YouTube on Saturday instead of on Sunday. Like, this is this is where I draw the line. He's like, we are Centauri. If we are to seize our destiny, we must do it ourselves. After this, no more. He's like, this relying on somebody else, this isn't us. And I don't want to do it anymore. If we can't win our own fights, we don't deserve to pick them.
Right. This is undermining Londo's sense of patriotism.
Yeah.
Depending on the shadows is weak.
Yeah, well, they're relying on them.
Yeah.
Their strategy is relying on them, which is something he never really anticipated. And Rifa's like, it's fine. After this, there'll no longer be a need, which is probably why when he watches the thing later and they're like, hey, we're annexing these other colonies, he's like, oh, God damn it. Because Rifa was like, no, this and we're done. I swear to God. This is the last planet we're going to conquer. Definitely. Cheer up. By the time you return to Babylon 5, the war will be over and the Narn will be at our feet. Everyone will love you, Londo. It's going to be fine. And this time, we'll keep them there. Contrasting this to later when he does go back to Babylon 5 and the chilly-ass reception he gets when he goes back. He goes, oh, anyway, that's the end of that. Because then we go back to the plucky planet crew. Oh, my God. Really, we can sum this up. We can sum it up.
Mm-hmm.
They go down to the planet after some argument from Garibaldi, because Garibaldi's like, nuh-uh, uh-huh, nuh-uh, uh-huh, nuh-uh, uh-huh. And then Ivanova comes in and she's like, yeah, huh. And they're like, ah, got it. And so they go down to the planet and Drawl is basically like, hey, sup, I've been playing around with the settings. I figured out how to work all the shit. I cleaned up a little bit. Did you notice? It's much brighter in here now. In fact, there's people that live here on this planet. Did you know that?
I have helpers.
It turns out is Zothras. Does he have helpers or helper? Is Zothras one or many?
I think there are multiple.
I think there's multiple
Zothrases.
Zothras. Yeah.
But are they all the same immortal Zothras that's doing time loops?
We literally have no idea. None. Period. None. We don't know. You know what? In my mind, headcanon for Zothras is this one. And that he is like the robot in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, where he's been taken back in time and then left to age back
so he's
many
actually
times.
Older than the universe.
He's actually older than the universe itself.
Yeah.
And sometimes he exists concurrently with himself.
Yeah.
And so when there are multiple Zothras, it's because it's the same Zothras, but he's been duplicated because of time travel. Like, that's in my mind. He's just...
Or is it like Moon with Sam Rockwell?
Oh, or he's cloned?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. No. In my mind, there's one Zothras, and he's just permanently stuck having to help everybody keep their shit together.
Yeah.
Because Zothras is I know he gets a lot of flack, and there's a lot of love-hate relationship stuff with Zothras, but I love Zothras. I think he is a stroke of genius because he is totally ambiguous. You have absolutely no idea who Zothras is at any point ever. And you know who also
and
doesn't
how much
know?
of it is an act.
You know who also doesn't know who Zothras is? Zothras.
Right.
So that you can't even get the information from him. He's not even keeping information from you. It's just that nobody has it.
Yeah.
Anyway. That's basically what happens. And then after he's like, I'm on your side, Sheridan, because I've been watching you sleep. and I noticed that you were meeting with people in your room.
There's lots of people talking about you.
I showed up around the time you usually take your clothes off for bed, and you actually had people over. And I heard you talking, even though you used the special don't hear you talking machine. I was there. And I know you're a part of a conspiracy, but don't worry, I won't tell your secrets. This is honestly my favorite part of this whole scene, and the only reason I keep any of it in, because he's like, I won't tell your secrets. Delenn is standing right there, and she did not know he was in any kind of a conspiracy.
Against his own government.
So in revealing it, he immediately shares his secret with somebody who did not previously know. Which just brings me back to the Minbari don't lie except when they do.
But I liked the when Sheridan and Delenn are winding their way through the passages. Delenn, are you sure you remember the way? Oh yeah, abso-fraggin-lutely.
Yes.
Damn it. And then they get to a corner and she's like,
Left or right? And she's like, left, I think. I have an excellent memory. Why wouldn't you just send somebody to guide them? It's fine. It doesn't matter. What happened to the defense grid that they had to throw the rock through?
Oh, that was active because
Oh, right, because he was incapacitated.
the guy was dying.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Good point. And then at one point, he's walking them back to their ship, I think, and he's like, "Oh, I heard a great disturbance in the force."
Yes, that's exactly what it was.
As if thousands of voices cried out and were suddenly silenced. That's exactly what he feels. And then he's like, "Anyway, you guys better get back because shit just hit the fan. I'll talk to you later. TTYL. This could have been an email." And then they jet off. And that's the end of that whole plot line until we come back and Sheridan and Delenn rejoin our main thing that is happening, which is the escalation and conclusion simultaneously of the war.
Yeah.
Because then we go back to Rifa talking to his gang of yes men. He's like, "That's right, I am amazing." And they're like, "You are amazing, Rifa. Hee hee ha ha." And then Londo shows up and he's like, "You guys may leave. You can suck my dick later." And then Londo pops up and he's like, "Malari, I was just about to send for you. Go ahead, gentlemen. You can go." And he's like, Go where?" And he's like, "To the Narn homeworld, of course. I kept you a place on the Valarius.
You're coming with me.
At least within the hour. We will be at the head of the fleet to personally oversee our victory. Come, Londo, destiny awaits." And then we go to Jakar, and Jakar arrives at Medlab, and now Medlab is full of refugees again, where in the last couple of episodes, it's been empty and clean.
Okay.
I'm skipping Delenn and Sheridan because we've already talked about them. Is that what that look of confusion was about? Yeah. I'm skipping them because it doesn't make sense in the episode and it doesn't make sense in our episode either. So I'll just go leave them off. We covered it. We already know what happens.
Yeah.
They go down there. They talk to him. They go back.
Yep. So we get Frankie and the Narns.
Yeah. So it's Frankie and the Narns, which in the previous couple of episodes, there've been no Narn refugees. They were overrun and then there were none. And now there are some, but maybe they're only in like Medlab 3 through 10.
Maybe.
I don't know. It's fine. What matters is Dr. Franklin is there. He's keeping an eye on them. He's called Jakar. Jakar shows up and he's like, "Hey, we had another group of refugees come from the front lines this morning. The usual mix." And Jakar's like, "Okay, are they okay?" And he's like, "Yeah, I mean, mostly. But there's something I thought you should know. And that is that one of the refugees was interrogated and they kept asking him questions about the homeworld's defense system." And Jakar's like, "Yeah, no, I'm not surprised." And he's like, "Yeah, but it seemed like really urgent. Like it seemed like it mattered."
In the short term.
Yeah. And one more thing. The only reason these refugees got out is because the Centauri warships pulled out before they finished securing the planet. And Jakar's like, oh shit. No, that's not how they function. That's not the Centauri game plan. And he's like, "Yeah, I know." And then he's like, "I just anecdotally, in the final days of our last war with the Minbari, they bypassed several of our colonies and went straight to Earth because they wanted to just get it over with."
Yeah.
And I don't know if that sounds relevant, but it feels kind of relevant.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah. And Jakar's like, "Okay, well, I'd like to speak with this Nard." And he's like, "Yeah, you can't." And then it just cuts over to them pulling a sheet over the guy's head. I just wrote "did."
He did.
He goes, "I don't want to panic anyone, but I thought you should know." And Jakar's like, "Thank you. Yeah, totally. Thank you." And then we go to Jakar trying to tell them.
Talking to General.
General, yeah. He's like, yeah, that's not enough information. You know the Centauri. You know how they operate.
You don't have proof.
And he's like, "Yeah, I get it, but like we're committed. I already signed the paper. Like I already put Garage 7 in my GPS. I gotta go that way."
Yeah.
And he's like, no, you don't understand. I think they're going to attack the homeworld. And he's like, this is too far along. Like, we've come too far. I can't go back. I've come too far. I can't go back is the theme of this episode.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, you don't understand. He's like, we're about to launch. Got to go. Bye. And he hangs up on him. And Jakar's like, oh, God damn it. Cassandra again.
Yep.
Yeah. And then draw. This is when he's like, I've been watching you, Captain. I know about the loss of your wife. I know that you only masturbate on Tuesdays. Like, he's just, it's so, I get where he's going. He's like, I know what's happening with you. And then this is when he uses the line in that long Twilight struggle, which lies ahead of us. There is the possibility of hope. And I just wrote, it's so long since we had any hope. I think that's, Faramir's line when he's like, it's been so long since we've had any hope.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And then back to the Jafleet.
Yeah, I just needed to sigh for a moment.
They're in normal space, and then the shadows come out.
I know. There's a lot of dialogue-less parts in this episode where it's just battle. And that's what happens here, because they come out, they're going to fight, but then the shadows show up. And the shadows fight them for a while, and then they're like, shit, we just got to leave.
And we start cutting to Jakar praying.
Oh, this is a very dramatic moment, yeah. And then they try to leave, and they end up destabilizing their jump points. And then they blow up, and everybody dies. And then Jakar puts out the last candle.
And cries.
And that's the end of it. Yeah. That was a really hard part. Anyway, and then we go to the Plucky Planet crew. Like, we have this moment where you're literally seeing Narn ships explode. You're seeing people die. Jakar is rocking back and forth and like desperately praying for the safety of his people.
Mm-hmm.
And one by one, the lights are going out. And then he puts out the last candle. And then they're like, anyway, back to drawl. Tee hee ha ha hee. About tonal whiplash. This is when he's like, oh no, I feel a disturbance in the force. And then he's like, Zartaros? Oh, he's never around when you need him. Boop, 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 boop. You're like, tee hee ha 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 ho ho ho. Anyway, back to the rioting that's happening on Babylon 5. Because then this is when Ivanova shows up and she's like,
Ivanova's like, we've got trouble right here in Zokolos.
Zokolos City. With a capital P, and that rhymes with C, and that stands for Centauri. It stands for Centauri. That's exactly. Which is funny because the guy who plays the main guy in the Music Man, the original Music Man, not the remake Music Man, also plays in I hit my microphone. Also plays in The Last Starfighter.
Yes.
As the character Centauri.
Yeah.
So there, we brought it all back around. And that's actually his last ever role. He's not in anything else after The Last Starfighter. Anyway, that's how my mind works. Because she shows up and she's like, yes, we've got trouble. She needs like people behind her. Let's continue singing. What else is new is what he says. And she's like, no. We've got trouble.
With a capital T.
Mm-hmm. She says the Centauri have begun an all-out offensive against the Narn homeworld. It started about an hour ago. He's like, oh, no. Any word on how it's going? And she's like, no yet. And then not yet. And then he's like, okay, let's do this. I need authority to lock down the station. She's like, check, you've got it. He goes, I'll close off traffic between levels, break up any groups larger than 5, post an alert telling anybody without urgent business to stay inside till this is over. He had a game plan. He's like, here's what we do.
Oh, let me pull out the purple binder.
Which means he sits there thinking, okay, so if there's actual well, it's not even the first time he's gone through it. Ironic you said purple, because probably the last time he went through it was when the Drazi had the green and purple conflict.
I was just thinking the Centauri like purple.
Oh, yeah, that too. In purple, they're also assholes, it turns out. Oh, my God. And Ivanova's like, okay, I already got it recorded. It's going to go out on monitors as soon as word hits. This is it, Michael. The balloon is going up. And apparently that's a World War I reference. And I was fatigued reading through the nitpicking of military strategy, so I did not read what the reference is. But the balloons going up is apparently a World War I reference, something to do with
a
using
signal?
Hot air balloons, either for signaling or for surveillance.
Okay.
Look it up. Put it in the YouTube comments. I'll be happy to learn. And then we go to the ISN in the Zocalo. So this is another moment where we sort of step back. I always love it when he does this, when we could have gone in and talked to Londo again, which kind of would have trashed the next moment where Londo's just horrifyingly watching the thing happen.
Mm-hmm.
As if he's powerless when this is actually his fault.
Right.
So we don't do that. Instead, we take a step back and we get our information via news report. So it's the Zocalo, it's the TV, and it's basically ISN being like, hey, we're getting breaking news. Earth Dome confirms that the Centauri Republic has begun a devastating frontal assault on the Narn homeworld. And reports continue to come in alleging the main Narn fleet has been neutralized and that Narn is completely encircled by its enemies. So even though we only see one side of this happening, this is happening globally for the Narns.
Yep.
Neither government has yet confirmed nor denied these reports. But shit's going down. And then immediately the Narn and Centauri start fighting each other. Because this is a moment where tension has been high for a very long time. And this is a catalyst for there to finally be actual violence.
Yep.
And this is when Delenn and Sheridan arrive back on the ship. And Garibaldi meets him and he's like, we got a situation. We got riots. Garibaldi's men have closed off all sections. Well, actually, Ivanova meets him. And he's like, good. Take Delenn back to her quarters. See to it that she arrives safely. And she's like, what? No, I want to stand by your side. And he's like, go. God, it's all right. Now go on. And then they're like, okay, did you get any word? Like, do we actually know what's happening? And they're like, no, not really. Except they say that the Centauri are using mass drivers. I can't believe they bombard the planet. And Sheridan's like, it tracks, actually. I'd believe just about anything right now.
Yep.
Which is supposed to be I just saw a planet made of a computer and I talked to the guy who's running it. Oh my God. I'd believe anything right now. But it works out better. It works out better if you're like, yes, I know warfare and I know the Centauri and I believe that they would stoop to this.
Yeah, they've been stooping lower and lower.
Yeah. So in my head, that's what he means. And I'm sticking to it because otherwise it undermines him so much. We go back to ISN then. And it's actually, first we see Londo.
Oh, yeah, staring in horror from the ship.
Yes. Yeah. And there was a statement. Or he was answering, Jamis was answering. Somebody, I don't know what the question was, but this is another one where there must have been context in the question. Because he goes like, actors making the script physical. And he specifically references this scene where Londo is looking out the window and Peter Jurasik has to take this moment and manifest it.
Right.
And only him manifesting this moment makes it work.
Yeah.
And I know we've said it before, and I will say it till I'm blue in the face, but these were the right two actors in the correct two roles at the right moment in time with the right everything perfection.
Yeah.
And the universe just doesn't line up very often for us to be given this gift. And I'm going to keep repeating it because I want you to know how much I appreciate that Peter Jurasik and Andreas Katsoulas got this moment to shine.
Yeah.
And they are great actors individually, and together they are fucking lightning. They are so good. That moment later, and we're going to get to it when they confront each other in the conference room, it literally doesn't get better than that for acting, for embodying these characters, and for really selling to the audience how big this is. And it's important because this is a thing that had not been done. This is a type of storytelling that had not existed on TV before. And we forget that. Because, yes, Star Trek is happening at this time, and I think we're getting Deep Space Nine, and they have some things that are sort of serial.
Series. There's season-long story arcs that get referenced multiple times throughout the season. But
not at this scale.
Right.
Not like this. And this is such a moment because he caused this. when Veer was like, think about it before you do this because you don't know the cost. And he was like, yeah, I do. I know what I'm doing. God damn it. That has to be running through his head where he's like, I didn't know they were going to do this. And he threw his lot in with the wrong people. And he's literally standing there like, I'm the bad guy. I am the bad guy. And I have to choose, do I stand by my decisions or do I admit fault? And he's going to choose to stand by his decisions.
Yep.
And we're going to see where that takes him. Because then we go to ISN and we find out this is the 4th day that they have been bombarding the planet. And the Narn government has continued to refuse to surrender. And the Minbari, the Vorlon, Earth, and other governments have filed official protests. So they've written strongly worded letters to the Centauri government to let them know that they
don't approve.
They approve. They disapprove with maximum disapproval.
Please stop.
You're not nice. And everyone knows you're not nice now. And we don't like it.
We can all see what you're doing, and we don't like it.
We don't like it.
Quit being a meanie.
Oh my God. I can't right now. This is something that I can't discuss right now. Anyway, with the Centauri Republic for their use of mass drivers against civilians. So they committed,
war crimes.
War crimes. And they're like, okay, but like, don't do it again. So far, the protests have had no effect. Yeah, because they're strongly worded letters.
Yeah.
Although communication with the Narn homeworld is difficult at best due to the attacks, word has reached ISN of cities utterly destroyed, hundreds of thousands of casualties, the total elimination of power and water over most of Narn's surface. Food shipments have stopped, the planetary economy has collapsed, and medical treatment is non-existent. Government analysts predict that unless the Narn government surrenders soon, their entire infrastructure would be destroyed. And to quote Senator Ronald Quantrell, they're being bombed back into the Stone Age, which is a Vietnam quote. And while we're getting this report, we're actually seeing everybody listening to it to kind of get a snapshot of what everybody's up to. Because it's been 4 days now.
Yeah.
And they've been powerlessly sitting there while the Narn homeworld is bombarded with illegal weaponry.
Right. And at this point, is Londo back on Babylon 5?
Not yet. He stays there for the whole thing. He doesn't come back until he's
after the
walking
surrender.
on, and he says he needs them to call a meeting.
Yeah.
Because then we cut to Jakar, and he's talking to a guy on his little TV. And he's like, is there no other way? And they're like, no, if the bombardment continues, we won't be able to keep them out anyway, and more people will die. We have no choice but to surrender. And Jakar's like, well, what about our people here? What about our people on Babylon 5? And they're like, honestly, we don't know. It will just depend on the terms of surrender. With any luck, the Centauri will be feeling generous. If not, ...
Bum, bum, bum.
And Jakar's like, cool, I'm coming home. I'm going to be there. I should be there with my family. And they're like, nope. If you come back here, you will be killed. And you are the only one of the Kari who is still safe. And he's like, okay, but I need to be with my family. And they're like, no, you can't. You have to choose duty. You have to choose being the face of our people over coming back and being with your family.
Yep. Oof. Yeah, and he's like, you're going to have to do the most painful thing possible for you.
Yeah. I have a message from
Ask
the Kari.
for help.
I have a message for the Kari. It's possibly the last message they will ever send. And previously, every message he's gotten from the Kari was like, hey, can you assassinate this guy? So when they say it's the hardest thing I'll ever have to ask you to do, you're thinking it's going to be like kill Londo or whatever. And it's completely not that at all. So Londo and Jakar are both slaves to their position in entirely different ways. And both of them give up everything, but one knows he's giving everything up and the other one hasn't figured it out yet.
Yeah.
And I'll let you guess which one's which. Because then we come back and it is Jakar walking into Sheridan's office. And he's like, hey, I've been instructed by my government to come to you and ask for
Sanctuary.
God, This whole part is so. Oh,
No, never mind. I was trying to find the line from the Dark Tower about the gunslingers. Like, do you seek aid and succor?
oh, okay. Yeah, the questions he has to ask
Mhm.
first. Yeah. I was just thinking. Honestly, this episode's pretty straightforward because I was like, wow, it's only an hour and a half in. This is usually when we're starting to talk about the episode, not when we're wrapping it up because we really don't have that much left.
Right, it's pretty straightforward.
And this is described as one of the best episodes of Babylon 5. And I'm not arguing that it's not a great episode. I think it really is. But I think it's colored with the perception at the time that this was totally unprecedented.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know the war is happening. It's been a couple of episodes since we've really discussed it. But it's always in the background. And you're expecting the last minute Star Trek save.
Right.
The Earth throws in, everybody decides to defend the Narns. The Centauri show up at the homeworld, and there's a coalition of ships from every single member of the council, and they turn the Centauri away, and they save the Narn.
Reset the status quo before the next episode.
And that's what you're expecting to happen. That's what you would have been expecting to
That's
happen
the formula.
contemporarily, because you're waiting for the like, haha, we've saved the day. And really, this is like all hope is lost.
Yeah.
Because they were losing the war and they lost.
Yeah.
They lost. A war that they didn't ask for.
A war that they did not start.
Well, they declared war, but remember, it was the like, well, they declared war. We weren't at war. They're the ones who declared it, but only because the Centauri were literally blowing up their colonies.
Right.
And so they're like, okay, we're at war. And the Centauri were like, well, they started it. And I am just not in a place where I can talk about that in isolation from other things. And so we're just going to move on to the next section, which is where Londo comes back to Babylon 5. And he has to know coming back that everything that he was on Babylon 5 has changed.
Yeah.
He's no longer the buffoon who can spend his days in the casino.
Right.
Because someone could lose at cards to him and he could have their planet blown up. How can you... He's, by gaining everything, he's lost.
He's isolating himself.
Everything he had.
Yep.
Because he walks back into Mr. Garibaldi, who is no longer his friend.
My good dear friend.
And you think about that episode that we just had where he tries to get Garibaldi to come and have a drink with him. And he's like, can you please just have a drink with me? And he waits at the casino for Garibaldi to show up. And he's like, no, I'm waiting for my friend. And that's gone. That's never happening again.
Yep.
Ever. He's
that
like,
was the last time.
Because Garibaldi's like, well, I arranged for around-the-clock security for you till this is over. And he's like, okay, thank you. Can you tell Captain Sheridan that I wish to convene a meeting of the Babylon 5 Advisory Council and the League of Non-Aligned Worlds as quickly as possible? I have an announcement to make. And he just goes, fine. Okay. Maybe say, not my friend anymore. Londo. God, to see where he took Londo from to where Londo's going. I can't. The arc is so good. Because then we go to the meeting and he's like, okay, well, a little over 5 standard hours ago, the conflict, which began with the Narn declaration of war, asshole, comes to an end. Like the last dig of like, we didn't start it. We just ended it. You totally started it. Oh my God.
Right. But, the authoritarians generally lie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. The first, what is it? The first tenet of the party was to not believe your eyes.
Yeah.
Believe
Deny the evidence of your eyes and ears.
Yeah. Anyway, because the Narn regime has offered a complete and unconditional surrender. Behind him, by the way, there's the empty Marcab chair. Yeah. The terms imposed by the Centauri Republic are as follows. 1. The ruling body known as the Kari will be disbanded and its members subject to arrest and trial for the commission of war crimes against the Centauri.
Execution.
For being domestic terrorists. Earth requests the right to send observers to these hearings, and he's like, no, request denied.
Denied.
And there was quite a bit of conversation also on the forums where apparently, just using context clues, somebody must have said something like, I wish Sheridan had put him in his place.
Mm-hmm.
And JMS was like, exactly how would you like him to have put him in his place? What authority do you think he had in that moment to say anything? Sometimes you don't. Sometimes in that moment, you don't have any way of putting someone in their place. Because Sheridan doesn't speak for enough of Earth Force that he could do anything.
Right.
He could go away, research a reason that they should be forced to have observers, and then send them. But at this point, honestly, there's no leverage left.
Yeah.
2, to prevent further acts of terror by the Narn against our people. From this day on, this is when he's like, the penalty for any harmed Centauri will be, for the murder of any Centauri by any Narn will be the execution of 500 Narns.
Including the perpetrator's family.
Own family. Yeah. One of ours, all of yours. 3, a provisional ruling council appointed by my government will take up the responsibility of rebuilding a more civilized Narn government as a colony of the Greater Centauri Republic. And then he coughs. And great attention was given to this cough because Londo has never coughed.
Yeah.
And JMS was like, yes, this is significant. But then no statement. And I can't remember if anything happens later that would make the cough significant. But I think it is like even he is choking on his own words.
Yeah.
He still said them. So I don't care how uncomfortable saying them made you because you still stood in front of everybody
and said the words. Yeah.
So I'm sorry that made your tummy hurt, but you still fucking said it. So he goes, is there anything else? He's like, yeah, one more thing. Because the Narn homeworld is now a protectorate of the Centauri Republic, we reserve the right to determine who can speak for Narn. And as a result, Ambassador Jakar can no longer represent the Narn. And I just put, was the revenge worth it? Because this is Londo's long game, was getting Jakar out of the council.
Yeah.
Because they've had their beasts in the past, including the time that the Narn attacked a Centauri colony.
Yeah.
And took his nephew, Ragesh, Ragesh 13, took his nephew captive. And he was like, okay, whether it takes a year or 100 years, I'll have my revenge. Blood calls out for blood.
Yep.
And so he did it.
This is it.
He got Jakar off and was it worth it?
Yeah. At what cost?
Was it worth it? I don't know. I don't know that it was. He's like, his appointment as ambassador to Babylon 5 is withdrawn, and as the only member of the Kari still at large, Citizen Jakar will return to Narn for trial. And Sheridan's like, that's going to be a no from me, dog. I'm afraid that's not possible. Prior to this meeting, Ambassador Jakar asked for sanctuary on Babylon 5, and as it is within my provision to make such decisions, I agreed. This is the one moment where he does actually have the authority.
Yeah,
and
this
he
is
uses
as much. Yeah, this is as much as he can do, and he's doing it.
Right. Plus, they were not prepared for Londo to be like this.
Right.
Because no moment prior has Londo been like this. In fact, he's been bumbling, if anything.
Mm-hmm.
Surrender of all members of the Kari is stipulated in the Narn Centauri agreement. Sheridan's like, cool, I didn't sign it. My name's not on it. It's just ink on paper.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Words on a page.
Mm-hmm. He goes, neither did Earth, so. And Delenn stands up and she's like, yeah, and his co-sponsor of Babylon 5, the Minbari government, also doesn't support this. It supports the decision that Sheridan has made.
Yeah.
The neutrality of the station applies even to the wishes of the Centauri. Citizen Jakar may remain here for as long as he chooses. And they're like, face reality, Ambassador Malari. If your government is serious about these rules, you need someone here who all the other Narn will recognize as credible. And this is when Londo's like, if that's your decision, then I can't stop you. But as of this moment, Jakar no longer represents Narn and must be removed from this council. And Sheridan's like, okay, in a minute. And he screams, now.
At Sheridan.
Yeah.
And I think even Londo is surprised that he interrupted Sheridan like that so rudely.
Yeah. I think he realizes that that was himself drawing a line in the sand.
Yeah.
That was a step too far to ever be able to turn around. Prior to this moment, prior to helping them take over the Narn homeworld,
Mm-hmm.
damage had been done. He couldn't undo. But this is really too far for him to ever be able to turn back. Oh, the only way he can turn back now is death.
Yeah.
His own death. He could have taken the L, lost all of his authority, gone back to being a buffoon,
Mm-hmm.
probably gotten the sanctuary on Babylon 5 that Jakar is currently getting.
Yeah.
But he could have nothing else. But now that's gone.
Right.
There's no back now that isn't just violence and death. And I think he realizes in that moment when he felt bold enough to actually scream at the head of Babylon 5 of that this was a line he can't go back on. And he alienated everyone. And he's alone.
Yeah. Everyone he could have gone to for support on like defecting effectively.
Yeah, that's all gone now.
Yeah, he's burned all his bridges.
Right. And I think he realizes it in that moment because he looks like, oh my God, did I really just do the thing that I did?
Yeah.
And then they all turn and look at Jakar because in the end, they leave the decision up to Jakar. Nobody orders him out of the room.
Right.
And so he stands up and he gets a fucking line. These are the moments I live for in JMS's writing is every once in a while he will have a character because Jakar started out as the warmongering, everything for more power for my people, because that will keep us safe.
Yeah.
To this moment where he realizes that participating in the violence led to more violence. And although you can't blame the victim, you can't blame the Narn for what happened because the Centauri still participated. They were also taking over colonies before the Centauri started taking over colonies. So this has been a spiral of conflict that has led here, and he's participated in it. And ultimately, it was a game they lost.
Yeah.
Because they weren't ready for it, and they didn't know they weren't ready for it. They banked on the Centauri being too weak to do anything, and they lost.
Because the Centauri had unexpected allies.
So he's confronting not only the current circumstances, but his role in them.
Yeah.
And now, ultimately, he's lost everything. And he gets to stand up and say, no dictator, no invader can hold an imprisoned population by force of arms forever. There is no greater power in the universe than the need for freedom. Against that power, governments and tyrants and armies cannot stand. The Centauri learned this lesson once, and we will teach it to them again, though it take 1,000 years. We will be free. And then we get to look at Londo as Jakar walks out. And Londo's scowl.
Oh, man.
Because he knows
doesn't even have to say anything.
If Jakar had rioted, if Jakar had refused to leave, if Jakar had resorted to the level of violence that season 1 Jakar would have resorted to, Londo would have come out smelling more like a rose. He would have seemed like the justified guy in this.
He would have seemed more reasonable.
But instead, Jakar gets up and delivers this completely unexpected philosopher Jakar moment.
Yeah.
And then just leaves. And I have to wonder if Londo wasn't hoping for more of a scene so that he could feel more justified. I think
he was hoping to have provoked Jakar enough for Jakar to break decorum.
Yeah. Because then Jakar gets to be, it's the bad guy.
Jakar, they're stooping to the same level as we have. They're not any better than us.
Yeah.
Except Jakar does not stoop.
He does not do it. He does not meet Londo's expectations in that moment.
He keeps that massive chin up.
And I think that's what that scowl is.
Yeah.
Because he knows he looked weak.
Yeah.
He came in here hoping that this would make him look strong, but in the end, he looked like a petty-ass motherfucker.
Yeah.
And not like the conquering dictator he wanted to be.
Right.
Anyway, that's the power of words and the power of subverting expectations. It's a good lesson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Then we go back to Londo watching the news, and he's like amusedly watching the news. Veer's not there. Tellingly, Veer is nowhere to be found. And it's about how the Centauri are dancing in the streets. They've been celebrating for a week to commemorate the recapture of the Narn homeworld. Marked the Narn homeworld safe from having resources. And in related news, the Centauri Republic today announced plans to annex several smaller worlds adjacent to Narn space. And this is when Londo loses his smile.
Yep.
Like, oh, I told them that was the last time. Did they not believe me? Mm-mm.
They said they weren't going to take over any more planets.
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe they lied to me again.
Yeah. I can't believe the party of liars lied to me. I can't believe the people who've lied to me consistently were not telling the truth this last time, in particular. Although they say they don't have any expansionist plans beyond retaking the homeworld, even though we just said that they're annexing several planets. Others in Earthdome are less sure. And then we cut to Sheridan and Jakar. And this is a very pivotal moment as well, because he's like, Jakar, I know we've had our problems in the past, but I really can't imagine entering the council chamber and not seeing you there, because you would fight about anything. I'm going to miss that about you. He goes straight, tall, ready to argue with anyone about anything. He's like, I don't really know if I want to go the next 10 years without your insight or your words. And for what it's worth, every resource and every contact that I have are at your disposal. If I can help you in any way, it's yours. And he holds his hand out for him. And motherfucking Andreas Katsoulis has to stand there looking like he just wants to go to his room. He wants to curl up around some Narn liquor on his rock bed. And he just wants to cry for a fucking week. And he can't, because he's got to be here and he's got to keep these bridges built. Because they're the only thing between him and death now. He's trapped on Babylon 5.
Yep.
He cannot leave because it is the only place he's safe. And so Sheridan, he has to stay on Sheridan's good side. And Sheridan shows up, and Sheridan has done everything he can up until now. And we know Jakar wanted more, because we had that heartbreaking episode where he was like, oh, they want to meet with me? Good. It's because Earth is going to help us. And instead it was just Sheridan being like, the best I can do is I can get refugees off. I can get refugees off and I can get some food to you. And that's the best I can do. Mm-hmm. But he offers him his hand. And Jakar says, the last time I took somebody's hand, 24 hours later, we were at war. And then he takes his hand anyway. Mm-hmm. Because you know who is willing to risk his reputation, who's willing to admit, to take a risk that might make him look cringe, for lack of a better word, is Jakar. Mm-hmm. For his people, he would do anything, which is the contrast that shows us how petty Londo's ambitions really are. Yeah, because Jakar only ever wanted what was best for the Narn, and Londo wanted what was best for him.
Yes, for the perception of Londo.
Yeah. He wanted to be seen to have brought back the Empire, because he wanted to be associated with the Empire he saw in
the illusion of strength.
The illusion of strength. So that is the difference between illusory strength and real strength. The ability to take that hand and take that risk, even having been burned before, is infinitely stronger than what Londo has done. Anyway, it's a really good storytelling moment. And those are really good characters. And the interplay of those two characters is what makes both of them work. Right. If you didn't have Jakar, Londo wouldn't shine. If you didn't have Londo, Jakar wouldn't shine. You have to have both of them, and it's perfection. And then this is when Delenn calls Sheridan to the conference center. And he walks in and there's a whole bunch of people, which is fine. I get where we're going with this, but it kind of feels like how the super secret Ranger Force has a super secret Ranger Force pin that they all wear. Because maybe gathering everybody who's in your super secret police force together so they can A, see who each other all are, right, and B, all be together in one place for anyone to see, feels a little
counterproductive.
It was a little counterproductive to the whole secrecy thing, because she could have just been like, I'll get you a list of contacts. Yeah. But it's fine. Because he's like, wow, is it somebody's birthday? Oh my God.
Bit of a tone shift.
She's like, yeah, no. I mean, would Kosh come to a surprise birthday party? I don't think so. Kosh is in the
Maybe.
background.
Yeah.
You know what? If there was a TV, he would. Maybe Kosh really likes cake. Could be. She's like, so these are the Rangers. They've been coming through the station for a while. They've sworn their lives, their fortunes, and their blood to fight the coming darkness. And he looks over at Garibaldi and he's like, did you know about this? And he's like, oh yeah, totes. Like 8-9 months probably. Because, but you didn't tell me. And he's like, yeah, because I promised a friend I wouldn't. She doesn't even give him up in that moment. He's like, a friend. And Dylan's like, hey, over here, look here, Captain John. You see what's happening all around us? The Great War is nearly here. And now that the Narn Centauri conflict is finished, it's time for the next wave to begin. And there must be one fortress of light to stand against the darkness, and that is this place. And it has to be protected at all costs, which is why I'm transferring half of my authority, equal authority, to you. Because these are going to be now your resource to fight what's coming. And he's like, wow, I don't even know what to say. For the last year, things haven't exactly been going our way, and I started to wonder if it would ever get better, and I think it just did. Tell the other Rangers, the ambassadors, everyone in this army of light that Babylon 5 stands with you. Tell them, from this place, we will deliver notice to the parliaments of conquerors that a line has been drawn against the darkness, and we will hold that line no matter the cost.
Mic drop.
God, that feels like the thing he was... You know what? That feels like after he left the council chambers, he was replaying in his mind the moment when Londo yelled at him, and he was doing the thing where you figure out exactly what you should have said like 2 days later.
Yeah.
So that's what in his mind, he was like, that's what I should have said to Londo. And so he finally gets a chance to use it. And it's a good moment. The line in the sand, and we will hold that line no matter the cost. Oh, I watched a reel that feels relevant to this. And it was, I'll let you guess who on one side. And then the other side was like, okay, but you can't do that anymore. It's not nice. You've got to stop. And so the guy, he's like, you can't pass this line, because if you pass this line, it's too far. And I'm not going to be able to support you anymore. It's going to be too much. And the guy on the other side of the line steps over the line.
Mm-hmm.
And so the guy who was like, you can't go any farther, this is where it stops, steps back and draws another line and goes, okay, but for real, this is it. If you cross this line,
real line,
I can't support you anymore. And then it zooms out and it's just a trail of lines going off into the distance.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it felt relevant. I think Sheridan's a lot better at holding the line than maybe people in real life.
Yeah.
But this was I know we didn't talk about it for very long, but this is a very straightforward episode. In terms of what happens, it's very linear.
Yeah.
The only thing that really breaks it up is the drawl thing. And the drawl thing is literally just to reestablish in the mind of the viewer the concept of the Great Machine.
Yeah.
Because it's been too long. Because otherwise, he could have just met everybody on the ship and it would have been on Babylon 5 and saved ourselves the time of going down there. And it was to give Sheridan an opportunity to see it. The Great Machine. Yeah, and to have direct interaction. So now if we drop it in casual conversation from here on out, you'll know who they're talking about. Yeah. That's all that was. And then to intersperse it with the most dramatic character shift that we have seen, and possibly will see in the entire series is fucking wild. Yeah. It's wild. I don't know what subplot you could have put with it otherwise, but it's still crazy. It's still crazy. And then for last episode to have been hey, Andrea Thompson wants to leave. Can we just wrap that shit all up in an episode? That'd be great. Yeah. Oh, well, I don't know. Matthew. What a wild episode of television to be living through right now. Yeah. And I think it's probably just a good place for us to leave it, because we said our piece at the beginning of the episode. I think anybody with any real engagement in our content knows where we stand. And I think that this is yet another fully precedented moment in time that we find ourselves in. And I really hope that in the year 2259, we are not rehashing this again. And I did just read God, Emperor of Dune, against my better judgment, honestly. And it's interesting because the whole concept of that is that humanity has to be cured of its propensity for dictatorship.
Yeah.
That we have an almost compulsive, the theory of Frank Herbert and God Emperor of Dune was that we as a group, as humanity in general, has an almost compulsive need to have a dictator. That given any length of time, that is what every government will default to.
Or the longer it exists, the more susceptible it is.
Yeah. And it kind of felt like there's nothing wrong with optimism. There's really nothing wrong with believing that we can be better and that we can be better people and that we can choose better. And so that's what I'm going to think about for this week. And I hope everybody else does too, is that we can be better. We just have to choose to be better. And if that means taking the L and admitting you were wrong, this isn't school and no one's going to fail you on the test. Unless your test is life.
Yeah.
And then maybe failure is something far larger than the concept of admitting you were wrong. I don't know. I feel like as a culture, an American culture, that's probably the largest thing that holds us back is
the stigma against
rugged
changing your mind.
Rugged individuality requires that you rely on only your own counsel and you don't listen to anyone else.
And that is inherently isolating.
And it leads to echo chambers, and it leads to people making decisions in a vacuum when they don't have to.
Yeah.
And we talked about that a lot this week because we live in an area where literally the outdoors can kill you several months out of the year. And I am increasingly convinced that Mike Myers was correct when he said that one of the reasons that like the Canadian culture is so much more cooperative than American culture is that when you live in an environment like we live in, you have to rely on your friends. I had to lean on...
The danger of the local climate requires community. Had I not had anyone to rely on yesterday, I easily could have died. Yeah.
I couldn't be outside for more than 10 minutes without risking like frostbite on any exposed skin and hypothermia. And yes, I was bundled up, but there's only so much bundled you can be. Plus it was whiteout conditions on a road with no shoulder. So I would have been walking on a road with no shoulder when no one could see me.
Yep.
I could have easily died. And yet I had you. I had the friend who took me home. I had the friend who got our car later. We had a community that we could call on to help us. And so when you feel a part of something bigger than yourself, you feel compelled to protect everyone in the community.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something that Americans have always struggled with because so much of our lives are commodified. So much of our interactions is commodified.
There's so much convenience in so many people's lives that you don't need to depend on anybody. And so those relationships decay.
Well, they decay and we get used to the idea of convenience, and community is inherently inconvenient.
Right.
You have to be willing.
But in a good way.
You have to be willing to be inconvenienced for a friend.
Yeah.
But it's not actually inconvenience, right? So it wasn't convenient for the friend to pick me up. It's not convenient for Sheridan to offer sanctuary to Jakar.
Right.
He could have gone along to get along. He could have turned Jakar over. He could have not pissed Londo off. He could have just complied, written a strongly worded letter to somebody about it.
Mm-hmm.
And it would have been way easier on him. But by taking in Jakar, which is an inherently inconvenient act, he is supporting the members of his perceived community.
Yep.
Not the person who has violated the rules of the community, which is Londo, but Jakar. Anyway, think about the effects of commodifying community, of forcing all community to be paid, and then filtering your community through an algorithm and what that does to the modern psyche. That's your homework for the week. And I think we're just going to leave it at that. That feels right. Reach out to a friend today, tomorrow, this week, and spend some time not thinking about what's happening in the wider world, because chaos and fatigue and loss of hope is the point. And so that is the thing we must avoid at all costs. So we would live for the one.
We would die for the one.
Until next time, friends.
Bye.
For the last year, things haven't exactly been going our way. I started to wonder if it would ever get better. I think it just did. Tell the other Rangers, the ambassadors, everyone in this army of light, that Babylon 5 stands with you. Tell them that from this place we will deliver notice to the parliaments of conquerors that a line has been drawn against the darkness. And we will hold that line, no matter the cost.